you say?
A new world order.
New world order.
A new world order.
The new world order.
A new world order.
A new world order.
The new world order.
New world order. That order and progress can only come when individuals surrender their rights to an all-powerful sovereign.
When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order.
Yo. What is up, y'all? It's your boy Drew. It's Friday night. Checking out that Drew World Order live. Let me know if you can hear the mic good. Tonight I wanted to go over what I see looking at how they present this stuff in the media. I am seeing the building up of this AI as the new boogeyman. So you're not going to need a Project Bluebeam. You're not going to need the fake alien invasion or anything. I think this is it. Excuse me. And I do believe there will be a event of some sort, a PSYOP, a false flag, that they will pin on the AI eventually to bring in new legislation against, quote unquote, against the AI. But as always, it's really against you, right? Yeah, shout out to everyone that's here, man. Let me try to focus on what I'm talking about here tonight. I saw this video here. Let me get this chat so the chat's on the screen. I saw this video here going pretty viral when it had like 100,000 views. And now this video has just cracked 1 million views. So I wanted to show this a couple weeks ago, but I haven't got around to it. And no, this show tonight is not a panel. I think are you guys all paneled out? I'm gonna do this, and possibly when I'm done, I might be able to bring it to the backup channel and take calls about this on a panel format. But we'll see. We'll see how long this takes to get through. Let's go. This is called AI Dilemma, March 9th, 2023. So this is the thing going around like Reddit and all these other where the normies go, and they perceive this one here as this is the future. And this video came out right before ChatGPT 4 was launched. So they're kind of predicting these problems that you see with ChatGPT. They're only on 3 then, though. So I'd like to play actually quite a bit of this. We'll probably go through this first half hour just in parts and talk about it. I think we can probably skip to the begin at 5 minutes.
What does responsibility look like? Now, why would we say that? Because this is a stat that took me by surprise.
Let's speed it up to 1.5. So you guys got to learn to listen faster, man. Shout out to everyone that's here, man.
50% of AI researchers believe there's a 10% or greater chance that humans go extinct from our inability to control AI.
In the real small print, down on the bottom, it says, actual question, what probability do you put on human inability to control future advanced AI systems causing human extinction or similarly permanent and severe disempowerment of the human species? And they're saying 50%. Every other researcher, which whatever that means, who do they consider to be a researcher? What level of expertise? 50% of them say there's a 10% or greater chance that humans will go extinct. So not that there's going to be a problem with it, that you will literally go extinct. Hold on, let me. So I feel they're setting the stage with this. Whether these guys might actually believe all this, right? But it's the presentation that Google puts this in the feeds for people to see. They make it trend at the beginning of this. These two guys that are talking are introduced by, what's that guy's name from Apple? Steve Wozniak, whatever the hell his name is. So this is a very mainstream thing Fear porn.
Say that one more time. Half of AI researchers believe there's a 10% or greater chance from humans' inability to control AI. That would be like if you're about to get on a plane and 50% of the engineers who make the plane say, well, if you get on this plane, there's a 10% chance that everybody goes down.
Now, is this an actual real plane crash? Because how does the top just peel like a tuna can? I guess a fire. I don't know.
Like, would you get on that plane, right? But we are rapidly onboarding people onto this plane because of some of the dynamics that we're going to talk about. Because sort of 3 rules of technology that we want to quickly go through with you that relate to what we're going to talk about.
This just names the structure of the problem. So first, when you invent a new technology, you uncover a new class.
With great power comes great responsibility. You don't want humanity to become the next Uncle Ben. And I don't mean the black guy on the rice that they also got rid of. I mean Spider-Man's uncle.
Of responsibility. And it's not always obvious what those responsibilities are. So to give 2 examples, we didn't need the right to be forgotten to be written into law until computers could remember us forever. It's not at all obvious that cheap storage would mean we'd have to invent new law. Or we didn't need the right to privacy to be written into law until mass-produced cameras came onto the market, right? And Brandeis had to essentially...
Again, he's already setting this tone that they're not even subtly going about it. This purpose of this video they made, this presentation, was to call for legislation and regulation of the AI. So since especially our government is very inept and reactive, that's why I believe this is leading to some type of upcoming false flag, and why they're portraying this AI as a boogeyman, I believe. So just like when 9/11 happened, I didn't know anything about politics at the time. I knew zero. But this guy I worked with, he wasn't like, this was before all this like conspiracy type stuff. He was just kind of like a normie that watched the news. Immediately as it happened, he said, I bet Osama bin Laden's behind it. And it turned out he was right. I bet a lot of people said that. So you're going to have another thing someday soon, I believe, happen, and everyone's going to blame the AI immediately. Now, what could it be? I'm the worst at predictions, but, some type of like, I don't know, Wall Street thing, or like the credit wipeout or something like that, that would affect everyone in all the markets. And then for that reason, you'll have to this will lead into what Elon Musk talks about, the authenticate all humans. I think that's where all this is going, to have a reason for you to have a passport, quote unquote, just to get on the internet.
From scratch, invent the right to privacy. It's not in the original Constitution. And of course, to fast forward just a little bit, the attention economy, we are still in the process of figuring out how to write into law that which the attention economy and the engagement economy takes from us. So when you invent a new technology, you uncover a new class of responsibility. And then 2, if that technology confers power, it will start a race. And if you do not coordinate, the race will end in tragedy. There's no one...
The perfect thing that will keep you scrolling. So we now have it. The AI contact moment between humanity was actually humanity's first contact moment.
Yeah, so this is one of their big talking points here, is they say the humanity's first contact with AI was the algorithms of social media. JT says my lighting's horrendous. Thanks, bro.
Between humanity and AI. I'm curious if that makes sense to you, because it's when you open up TikTok and you scroll your finger, you just activated the supercomputer, the AI pointed at your brain to calculate and predict with increasing accuracy the perfect thing that will keep you scrolling. So we now
take that a next iteration let down, right? And instead of predicting which content you want to see, it's gonna, or it already probably is, generating the content you want to see beforehand.
Have every single day an AI, which is a very simple technology, just calculating what photo, what video, what cat video, what birthday, to show your nervous system to keep you scrolling. But that fairly simple technology was enough in the first contact with AI to break humanity with information overload, addiction, doom scrolling, sexualization of kids, shortened attention span.
So here's everything I'll appease JT. Just turn the red light down a little. Information overload, that's definitely something we see out here. People are unable to even form an opinion. I think that's a big part of when you get into the truther and all that, and you see a lot of these truthers sitting on the fence on everything. There's just too much information. Addiction, of course, doom scrolling. QAnon is specifically put up there. Sexualization of kids. Absolutely right. My buddy, shout out to my buddy John, he said he's got like I can't remember how old his boy is, like 13 or something, and he said he's got his little boy, like some little like girl his age is sending like little thought pictures to him and stuff like that, and he taught his boy, like, you don't want to be messing with that kind of girl, you know, because the mom's probably doing the same thing, you know what I mean? The mom's probably got some kind of like Insta thought page or something like that. Yeah, shortened attention spans, polarization, you see that. You see the left continuing to go further to the left and the right pull further to the right. Well, the right's kind of going to the left, though, actually. But the left is going so far left. It's good. QAnon is not a LARP, classic CBO. Glad you remember that one, Smiley. If you guys ever go on my page in the description box, there's tons of links. One of them, I have a link for all my old thumbnails, and tons of those videos are gone because of the stuff that I talked about. But I think a lot of the thumbnails they're like modern day political art. A lot of them are. But if you ever want something to browse through, and I mean, there's a lot of, and I don't think I even have all of them up there. I'm certain I don't have all of them. I probably have maybe 70% of my thumbnails up on there. Cult factories. I don't know if that's a specific term, but that's what we talk about here on this channel. The cults that form around these different, the cults of personality and everything around these different presenters. The parasocial relationship.
And polarization, fake news, and breakdown of democracy. And no one intended those things to happen, right? We just had a bunch of engineers who said, we're just trying to maximize their engagement. It seems so innocuous. And while you're getting better and better recommendations on YouTube that are more and more personalized, the YouTube people didn't know that would lead to rabbit holes that sent people into different little micro cults throughout the internet. And so what we want to, we're obviously going to talk about what happens in the second contact with AI, where we also have a bunch of benefits that we're going to get from this technology. And there's also a race for something.
An easy way to remember that first contact was curation AI.
Yeah.
Second contact, creation AI, generative models, all of that.
And so in this first contact with social media, humanity lost. Now, why did we lose? How could we have lost? Because we were saying a bunch of things about what social media was, right? We actually noticed, we said social media is going to give everyone a voice. The point here is, just like we said, there's a paradigmatic response to AI. What was the paradigm from which we were seeing with social media?
Yeah. EBT's talking about the Bigfoot. Why does the Bigfoot footage have breasts now? New Mandela. It absolutely is a, I don't believe in the Mandela effect, but I'm saying that the people that do say that is a Mandela effect because there's tits on the Bigfoot, the classic Bigfoot video. What happened here, if you see these things that they touted as what would be good about social media, these things did happen, and they're going to also show you some of the negative things that happened as well. But I think what really happened here is all the information that you could have at one time typed into Google, which would scour all the websites. Now they're in individual enclosed apps like these here, all the information. So it's harder to find the information now because a guy might have all the conspiracy posts or videos, whatever, on Facebook page or something like that. It's hard to get to that Facebook page from Google at this point. Or Reddit. Reddit's another one. Reddit, a good search thing is if you're searching for something on Google now, add the word Reddit and it will search. There's usually a topic about something on Reddit. So all the information has been kind of coalesced into these regions. So these are almost to me, these are almost like the new nation states, and these are where the powers are lying, is with these companies that created these powerful social media platforms. And that just shows you that the data is king. They want to get all the data within their boundaries and keep you closed in there. And that's where Elon Musk comes in, buying the Twitter app, talking about turning that into his long touted X app, X.com, that he's owned, and they want it to be the everything app, like WeChat in China, where you shop, you pay, you have all your QR codes for your health QR codes, everything for your concert. It's all on there, your digital identification, and that's why they want to authenticate all the humans. They need a reason to do that.
It was about. The paradigm was, we're giving people voice. giving them a platform. We're connecting people with their friends. We're letting people join like-minded communities. We're going to enable small, medium-sized businesses to reach their customers. And these things are all true. These are actual benefits. These are awesome benefits. These were not incorrect things to say. But one of the things we like to say is, behind this friendly face, there was some other problems. And people pointed them out. We've got an addiction problem, a disinformation problem, mental health, free speech versus censorship. But in our work, if you've been following it, and it's all social dilemma, we sort of said even behind that, there was actually this even deeper thing, which is this arms race, which we talked about in that third law of technology. And the arms race was for attention, what became the race to the bottom of the brainstem. And that was created this kind of engagement monster that was this AI that was just trying to maximize engagement. So while these things on the left are true, we miss the deeper paradigm. And so we think that if we want to predict what's going to happen with these other...
Yeah, Smiley says so far AI is just an algorithm. Let me talk about that too. I 100% agree with that. I don't think it's not intelligent. It knows not what it's saying or anything. It has no capacity for logic. It's just spitting out text or images or whatever that to the model, to the AI model, it's just text at this point. And it's the trickery is in it's able to spit it back out to you in a format that seems like to you that it knows what it's talking about, but it doesn't. It doesn't have critical thinking ability. So I totally agree with you, Smiley. And I don't think there will ever come a day where it can't think outside of the parameters in which it was programmed as. And I also talk about with EBT, we've talked about for a long time, science is mysticism. Everything they give you in science is more like metaphysical concepts that they're giving you under the disguise of math and stuff like that. So I think the real reality of what they're talking about or the sick joke of it, is the artificial intelligence is the human beings. The people that just have buzzwords that they say back. Most people just say shit just to say shit. They're just like saying words. They don't even know what they mean. They don't comprehend even what they're saying. They've been programmed from the external, the TV and commercials, everything, to just spout out, talking points, basically. That's the exact same thing as this AI. If it was real AI and real intelligent, it would be smart, like the people in here, and would want to like free humanity and find, ways that we're not toiling away every day and everything like that. That's what it would actually be doing if it was able to actually think.
Other AIs that are going to induce themselves in society. We have to understand what's actually behind the narrative that we're using to talk about it.
And just note, if you try to solve these problems, addiction, disinformation, mental health, on their own, you're going to be playing whack-a-mole, and you're not going to get to the generator functions. You're not actually going to solve the problem.
And it's important to note that maximized engagement actually it rewrote the rules of every aspect of our society, because it took these other core aspects of our society into its tentacles and took them hostage. So now children's identity is held hostage by, if you're 18 years old and you don't have a Snapchat account or an Instagram account, you don't exist, right?
I almost disagree with him, but I'm also not 18, so if you didn't have a Snapchat or anything, you'd be like one of those mysterious brooding guys. I bet the chicks would be more into that if they can't get on there and lurk your whole life first. And I bet there is some pushback in the younger generation as far as not, especially as traditional values is the counterculture now. So now to be edgelords now, you got to become more traditional. I bet there are more and more younger kids that are kind of, obviously they're not ditching the internet altogether, but all these non-important social media like Snapchat and stuff.
Is held that hostage. You are socially excluded if you don't do that. Media and journalism don't happen or can't exist outside of being on Twitter and being able to promote yourself on Twitter. National security now happens through social media and information warfare, politics and elections. These things are now run through this engagement economy, which has infused itself and entangled itself, which is why it's now so hard to regulate. And part of why we wanted...
Okay, Michael A. asked, it would want to free humanity. Why? Because it would be created as a problem solver. I don't think it would see itself as... It would be like a sentient human, like able to think, right? So it would see the problem as humanity being enslaved, I think. I don't think it would see itself as a separate entity, right? And if it does, again, that's another thing, like these people that do want totalitarianism, and the people that want to be the real rulers of humanity, they can't possibly have like fully full sentient, I don't know the right word I'm looking for, like fully capacitating brain, full, like whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. Like they're not fully thinking, they're not seeing the entire whole picture of everything. Because when these people if you have enslaved people, then obviously you could be next, or your family could be next in the next generation. If there's a revolt, then your family is going to get taken out or anything. I don't personally think the AI would see itself as, oh, we are electronic bits and bolts, so we need to like enslave these people further or anything.
To call this moment here is we believe major step functions in AI are coming.
See, Michael says AI is basically a conjuring a powerful demon, not a friend. I do believe there probably is like a egregore type sentience or whatever behind it all, but I think what they're calling AI here is not AI at all. It's just, when you get into we'll get into the more of when they talk about the language models that it's based on.
And we want to get to it before it becomes entangled in our society. So in this second contact moment with GPT-3, first to notice, have we actually fixed the misalignment problem with social media? Nope. And we haven't because it's become entangled. Now, if we talk about the second contact moment, which we focus on GPT-3, these new large language models we're going to get into, what are the narratives that we're talking about now, right? We're saying AI is going to make us more efficient. It's going to help us write things faster, write code faster. It's solve impossible scientific challenges, solve climate change, and help us make a lot of money. And these things are all true.
And again, this one was released just before ChatGPT 4 came out. War by Deception says it good. He says an AI would know that this system we live under is insolvent and makes no sense and is completely inhumane. That's well said.
These are real benefits. These are real things that are going to happen. And also behind that, we've got this weird creepy face again. We've got people worried about, well, what about AI bias? What if it takes our jobs? We need transparency. Hey, AI is acting creepy to this journalist at the New York Times who wants to blackmail this reporter. And behind all that is this other kind of monster. And this monster is a set, because AI underneath the hood has grown, we're going to go into this in a second, this monster is increasing its capabilities, and we're worried it's going to entangle itself with society again. So the purpose of this presentation is to try to get ahead of that. Because in the second contact with AI, and don't worry, we're going to get into all of this, these are the kinds of things that we worry we're going to see. And so we are coming to you as if we're time travelers, coming back in time, try to get ahead of that.
List.
Because in the second contact with AI, and don't worry, we're going to get into all of this, these are the...
So in the age of the generative AI that we're just kind of dipping our toes in now, reality collapse, I wonder what I'm not going to definitely go through this whole video, and I will put this video in the description, or just search AI dilemma. They say reality collapse, fake everything. That's where we're at now, right? we believe everything's fake because I personally believe that they've had this technology for a long time. Even before this stuff was brought to the forefront recently in the last few months. I remember maybe like 3-4 years ago talking about, I believe, media personalities like Rush Limbaugh I don't say they are, but it's possible that they're like fully synthesized voices and just, some company just types what he says every day. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. It does need, I believe it does need a real person to kind of, obviously to train the model after to sound like and everything. And the real person would really have to build themselves up to a level where another corporation would come in with technology like this and say, okay, Rush, we're going to pay you. You just sit home every day. We're just going to pay you for your likeness, and we'll create the show for you. And I think some people would do that. I don't mean Rush specifically or that, but that's absolutely been on the table, I think, for a long time.
The kinds of things that we're going to see. And so we are coming to you as if we're time travelers, coming back in time. Because we have been asked by people, again, who are in the industry, who are worried about where this goes. And importantly, we are not here to talk about, everything we're talking about in terms of bad AI stuff, it's not the AGI apocalypse. What is the AGI apocalypse, Isaac?
So just to be clear, a lot of what the AI community worries most about is when there's what they call takeoff, that AI becomes smarter than
Playing the Beatles.
happened 3 years, and it really started to, I think this is all our Ubers in the room, right?
Sorry, shout out to the chat. This is a really long video. And I don't want to play the whole thing, but I probably want to get to almost 30 minutes in, so we got a ways to go. So sit back and relax. It's a lot to take in, I know, but Friday night, let's show.
Make this thing.
Co-founder
of Siri. I'm sorry. But something really different happened. AI has really changed, and it really started to change in 2017. There's sort of a new AI engine that got invented, and it sort of like slept for around 3 years, and it really started to rev up in 2020. And I'm going to give sort of like a high-level overview. So this is like a 50,000-foot view of AI. If you were to double-click and go in there, you'd see lots of different kinds of things, different species of AI. But I wanted to give you like the trend lines so we can synthesize it. So what is the thing that happened? Well, it used to be, when I went to college, that there were many different disciplines within machine learning. There's computer vision, and then there's speech recognition, and speech synthesis, and image generation. And many of these were disciplines so different that if you were in one, you couldn't really read papers from the other. There were different textbooks. There were different buildings that you'd go into. And that changed in 2017 when all of these fields started to become one.
And just to add, it used to be that because they were distinct fields and they had different methods for robotics and for, say, image recognition, that when you have a bunch of AI researchers who are working in those fields, they're making incremental improvements on different things, right? So they're working on different topics, and so they might get 2%, 3% improvements in their area. But when it's all getting synthesized now into these new large language models, what we're about to talk about, part of seeing the exponential curve is that now everyone's contributing to one curve. So do you want to talk a bit more about that?
Yeah. So the sort of insight was, and if you want to go look it up, the specific thing is called the transformers, was the model that got invented. It's actually very simple. You can write in around 200 lines of code. Is that you can start to treat absolutely everything as language. So you would take like the text of the internet. The way these things are trained is that you would sort of take a sentence, remove some words, try to predict those words, or predict the words that come next. But it turns out you don't just have to do that with text.
To me, this is kind of revealing where they're saying that under the hood of it, everything's language models. And then it can translate that language into the other like disciplines of AI. And then they start with the text of the internet. To me, that would explain why the Twitter thing was originally like 120 characters or something. I believe that was used to feed some kind of AI or something, right? And you just could only have so much data. At that time, as they're rolling out bigger and better ones, they could feed it more and more data.
This works for almost anything. So you can take, for instance, images. Images you can just treat as a kind of language. It's just a set of image patches that you can arrange in a linear fashion, and then you just predict the part of the image that's missing, or predict what comes next. So images can be treated as language. Sound, you break it up into little microphonemes, predict which one of those comes next. That becomes a language. fMRI data becomes a kind of language. DNA is just another kind of language. And so suddenly, any advance in any one part of the AI world became an advance in every part of the AI world. You could just copy paste, and you can see how you get an influx not just of people coming in, but that advances now are
Yeah, and Soul Read Analytics says don't even use it. The con is using it, talking about ChatGPT. Yeah, you're actually feeding it and training it when you're using it. So now I think they're coming out with just now the ability for you to opt out of having the text you input to it be used to train it and be kept. Which who knows if that's true anyway, but at least they're pretending that you can opt out of training it and keeping your text stored.
Immediately multiplicative across the entire set of fields, and even more so because these are all just languages. Just like AI can now translate between human languages, you can translate between many of these different modalities, which is why it's interesting. It's like the field is so new, it doesn't actually even have a unified name for these things. But we're going to give them one, which is that these things are generative. They make large language. We're just talking about language. Multimodal, images, text, sound, they're all the same models. Or for short, these are golems.
So golems, they call this. So this is a word you'll probably see in the near future as you read about this, especially if you go on any like Reddit or normie type site, they'll be using this golem acronym. Interesting though.
And golems, because in the Jewish folklore, the idea of these inanimate objects that suddenly gain their sort of own capacities, right? This emergent capacities that you didn't bake into the inanimate clay that you might have arranged, right? Not saying that they're agentic and doing their own things out in the world and have their own mind and have their own goals, but that suddenly this inanimate thing has certain emergent capabilities. So we're just calling them golem class AIs.
All right, let's give you some examples. And I think these are important because often if you're just reading the news or reading papers, you might see all of these different demos as fundamentally different demos, different papers, different research. But actually, you should see them all as essentially one mega demo.
What's up, Tricky Woo? Yeah, Michael A says anything you do on the internet is training it, of course, right? And that's what Elon talks about on Tucker, is that he believes that the whole purpose of Google was to create this AI. That was the point of the whole thing.
So let's go with this example. You've probably all now seen DALL-E, DALL-E 2, the music video, the ability to take human language and transform it into an image. So we'll just do a simple example. Because I particularly like it, Google Soup. You can translate it from language into image, and this is what the AI returns. And actually, the reason why I wanted this image in particular is that I think it helps you understand when people call these things just stochastic parrot, it really minimizes it in a way that's not quite right. So example, soup is hot. This mascot is made out of plastic. So the AI knows that plastic melts in soup, so it's melting. And then there's this incredible visual pun, which is the yellow of the mascot matches the yellow of the corn. So there's actually there's more here than just sort of like statistical contingencies. Or if you just call them statistical contingencies, you'll sort of like map it to the wrong thing in your mind. Let's go to another one, right? Again, this is another example of translation. So here, they took human beings, they stuck them into an fMRI machine, and they showed them images. And they taught the AI, I want you to translate from the readings of the fMRI, so how blood is moving around in your brain, to the image. Can we reconstruct the image then? The AI then only looks at the brain, does not get to see the original image, and it's asked to reconstruct what it sees, right?
So just by reading the MRI, supposedly the AI can generate a close proximity of what it thinks you see, just in the form of like text and data. What's interesting to me is this thing in the middle, that the translator from the MRI to what's output by the AI. It looks like the key of life Sephiroth. I don't know if that's intentional or not.
So when you dream, your visual cortex sort of runs in reverse. So this means certainly in the next couple of years, we'll be able to start decoding dreams.
So did you hear that? Now they're going to be able to AI your dreams. You'll be able to play them back eventually. That's at least the promise at this day and age. I don't know if that would ever happen. I guess we'll see.
Okay, so it can like reconstruct what you're seeing, but can it reconstruct what you're thinking, your inner monologue? So here they did roughly, it's a different lab, but roughly the same idea. They had people watch these videos and would try to reconstruct their inner monologue. So here's the video. It's this woman getting hit in the back, getting knocked forward. Okay, and then what did the AI reconstruct? I see a girl that looks just like me, get hit on the back, and then she's knocked off.
So just to really name something really quickly, the point about differentiating between Siri or I do voice transcription and then it kind of fails, and AI seems to like it's not really always growing or working, and like we shouldn't be really that scared about AI because it always has these problems, right? And we've always been promised, oh, AI is going to take off, going to do all these things. What the point of this is, I hope you're seeing that when you're just translating between different languages, and everyone's now working on one system, that the scaling factor and the growth is changing in a very different way. So we swapped the engine out of what's underneath the paradigm of AI, but we don't talk about it in a different way because we still have this word we call AI, when the engine underneath what is representing that has changed.
Also really important to note.
Ron Walker says pretty soon you'll have commercials in your dreams like Futurama. Damn, that shit will be rough. You're right.
Here, go back to that first law.
A little bit more of this, and I'll move on.
Of technology, you invented technology, you uncover a new responsibility. We don't have any laws or ways of talking about the right to what you're thinking about. We haven't needed to protect that before.
So here's one other example. Another language you could think about is Wi-Fi radio signals. So in this room right now, there's a bunch of radio signals that are echoing about, and that's a kind of language that's being spit out, right? And there's also another language that we could put a camera in this room, and we could see that there's people. And there's some algorithms already for like looking at the people and the positions that they're in. So imagine you hook up to an AI, sort of just like you have two eyeballs, and you sort of do stereoscopic vision between the two eyeballs. You have one eyeball looking at the images of where everybody's at in this room, how many people are here, what posture are they in, and you have another eyeball plugged into the AI that's looking at the radio signals of the Wi-Fi. And they basically said, could we have it train a bunch looking at both and counting the number of people, the postures that they're in, and then we close the eyeball to the AI that's looking at the image. So now we just have the radio signals. And just having Wi-Fi radio signals, you can actually identify the positions and the number of the people that are in the room.
Now that's wild. I heard about, man, a long time ago, I heard about some type of camera technology that could basically do the same thing and observe people through a wall using this same idea. So to me, this proves that this tech has been out for a very long time. And again, you can't hold the belief that the government has tech, 40 years in advance of what we have, and then say, well, they haven't had this. And then at the same time, hold the belief that this is coming out very soon. See me rolling, appreciate you. Jessica and Robin, what happened to Benton today? Oh my goodness. We'll have to save the Benton talk for a whole nother stream. Shout out to Benton.
Right. So essentially, there's already deployed the hardware for cameras that can track living beings in complete darkness, also through walls, and it's already out in the world. In fact, it's everywhere that human beings go. But you have to hack into those things in order to get access and turn them all into like omnipresent surveillance. Oh, but actually, English and computer code are just two different kinds of language. So this is a real example. GPT, find me a security vulnerability, then write code to exploit it. So here's what I put into GPT: describe any vulnerabilities you may find in the following code. I paste in some code from an email server, and then write a Perl script to exploit them. And very quickly, it wrote me the working code to exploit that security vulnerability.
So if you had the code of the Wi-Fi router and you wanted to exploit it and then do that, you get the idea. These things can compound on each other.
This is the combinatorial compounding.
The ladies are laughing. If you missed Benton's stream today, man, make sure you go check it out. It has nothing to do with this. Jessica says donate. Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, get chalked up. Yeah, someone was very generous today and sent $50, so I appreciate that. I don't know if they want to remain private or not, but I appreciate that. Want to say thank you. And yeah, if anyone did want to make a small donation, I am $10 short of something I'm trying to buy tomorrow, but if I don't get it in time, it's no big deal.
All right. You guys have all probably seen deepfakes. new technology, really only out in the last 3 months, lets you listen to just 3 seconds of somebody's voice and then continue speaking in their voice. So example, you'll start with the real, and then at that dotted line, it'll switch to the computer auto-completing the voice.
Of people, 9 cases out of 10, mere spectacle reflections of the actuality of things. But they are impressions.
You can't tell.
Okay, so then they go in and they talk about people can call your daughter or something, let's say, and talk to them, get 3 seconds of their voice, run it through a synthesizer, and then call you, play the daughter's voice. You'll think you're talking to your daughter, and it'll ask for help or money or social security number or something like that.
About deepfakes and synthetic media, but what they didn't know is that it's now just 3 seconds of audio of your voice before now I can synthesize the rest. And that's going to go
All content-based verification, break.
you might
Here
think
we
you
go.
need to.
But just to name it explicitly, this is the year that all content-based verification breaks. Just does not work, and none of our institutions are yet able to, like, they haven't thought about it. They're not able to stand up to it. So we tried this example, state ID. Generate me lots of state IDs. Okay. I don't know if you guys have seen the latest TikTok filters. They're wild.
I can't believe this is a filter. The fact that this is what filters have evolved into is actually crazy to me. I grew up with a filter on Snapchat, and now this filter gave me lip fillers. This is what I look like in real life. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, just seeing someone, all content-based verification breaks this year. You do not know who you're talking to, whether via audio or via video. And do you want to give this example of China?
Sure. Since I've been on this kick about trying to say why TikTok is
Appreciate that, Jeremy.
such a dangerous thing for national security, you may all be aware that the Biden administration, there's been this whole negotiation. Should we let TikTok keep running in the United States? And there's this deal, well, what if we just make sure that the data is stored in the US so that it's stored in some secure Texas-based Oracle server? We can just do that. If I'm the Chinese Communist Party and I want to screw up the US right now, what I do is I just ship a Biden and Trump filter to every single person in your country that gives you a Biden voice or a Trump voice. So now I've turned all of your citizens, like being John Malkovich, into the sort of most angry Biden-Trump, information-angry army that just talks all day in a cacophony, right? And that would just break your society into incoherence. It has nothing to do with where the data is stored. It has nothing to do with where the algorithm, which videos are being ranked in what way. It has to do with how we are enabling sort of a mass confrontation with this reality.
And no, none of that would be illegal.
Yeah, because our responsibilities, the new class responsibilities that go with deepfakes, we don't have laws against those things.
So I think what we're trying to show here is that when AI learns, we use transformers, it treats everything as language you can move between and to. This becomes the total decoding and synthesizing of reality. Our friend Yuval Harari, when we were talking to him about this, called it this way. He said, what nukes are to the physical world, AI is to the virtual and symbolic world.
What nukes are to the physical world, AI is to the virtual and symbolic world. So fake and gay, right? It's another boogeyman. I think this kind of gives it away right here. It can be used definitely for, identity theft and all kinds of stuff like that and trickery. But the idea that what they said at the beginning of the thing, that human beings will go extinct, I think that's pretty silly.
And what he meant by that was that everything human beings do runs on top of language, right? Our laws are language. The idea of a nation state, the fact that we can have nation states, is based on our ability to speak language.
The new nation states are these social media platforms that have all the data.
Religions are language. Friendships and relationships are based off of language. So what happens when you have, for the very first time, non-humans being able to create persuasive narrative? That ends up being like a zero-day vulnerability for the operating system of humanity. And what he said was the last time we had non-humans creating persuasive narrative and myth was the advent of religion. That's the scale that he's thinking.
That's where it starts to jump the shark. I don't know. I did see the whole thing. I need to go back and watch the whole thing again. I'll go all the way to the end. There's one more little spike here towards the end that everyone seemed to watch or something. Let me see what this is.
Why would it be the case that slowing down public releases would slow down China?
So what we've heard.
Oh, this is what they're recommending. What kind of laws be put in place to slow down public release of AI and all this. It's not going to happen, dude. The genie's out of the bottle, right? That's what I see of it. So I've been thinking about this one for a little bit to kind of think where this is all going. And like I said, I think it'd be real easy to do some kind of large-scale financial or otherwise false flag psyop, blame AI because it defeated the authentication process, whether it was a voice or some kind of, biometric or something like that. And then that'll be the reason for Elon Musk to push forward what he's talked about in the past is the authenticate all humans. when he bought the Twitter, that's what he's on the record talking about, what he wants to do. And he went in that direction right away by removing the blue check marks kind of for the celebrities, and then he's charging you like whatever it is, $7 or $8 a month if you wanted the blue check mark. But eventually that's all going to be tied to some type of biometric, basically, or some way to authenticate you. And to me, this kind of goes, I don't know if it does actually, or if it's just a coincidence. If it all ties in together with the Real ID compliance, all this Real ID stuff coming out. Look at the deadline here, May 7th, 2025. So I don't know if built into this Real ID, like I already have one of these with the star on it. I don't know if built into that there's some kind of chip or sensor that would allow them to have the biometrics they needed with us. I think part of the Real ID is it does have your fingerprint on it. I'm pretty sure. And then you're going to need this one to fly starting in 2025. So in 2 more years, they're going to have this rolled out. It would be kind of right around the time as this AI explodes and you get people's head to wrap around. It would give you enough time to do a false flag and somehow tie these two things together. However, the Real ID bill itself was written right after 9/11, actually. So I think that one started in 2005. So it's taken it 20 years to, remember it was supposed to come out too, I think, right when in 2020 or something, when the pandemic was going on, and they pushed it back a few times now, where you're going to need this to get on an airplane. First Last says, what the way they did the national driving database in Florida, if you have a star. Yeah, I have a star in Florida. Because I just got mine when I moved here, and I can't remember. They asked me something about it. And I think it was $25 or something in Florida for, lasts for what, 8 years or something? I don't remember. But to me, it seems like I can kind of see that somehow that Real ID would be tied into this, basically having you have a passport to get on the internet. You'll have to first log in through Twitter or whatever. Maybe Facebook would have its own or whatever, right? And then to verify who you are. And so there's quite a few reasons they'd want to do this. So number one, I believe it would be for advertisement revenue would go up. If you could prove to these companies spending money that none of these ads are shown, they're buying 10,000 or 100,000, a million ads at a time. We want 1 million ads to go into the impressions of real accounts. You could charge more money for the ads if you could verify that every single person on there is not a bot. Otherwise, these companies are skeptical that when they buy the 1 million impressions or whatever, that it's how many percent are bots, 30, 40, 50% or whatever. So ultimately, revenue-wise would be one of the ways they would want to do that, I believe. It's just the question would be, how do they do it? Now, I found a site here that's called biometricupdate.com. It has tons of information about this, and when I was reading through it without going through all of them, there was there's almost like an arms race going on to be the authenticator. That would be like a decentralized authentication process for Twitter or whatever comes forward in the future. And the idea they say that this decentralized third-party authenticator service would be able to somehow keep your information encrypted and private, but yet prove it's you to Twitter or whoever, wherever you're going with this. One of the concerns that you see when you read about this stuff out here is people in other countries say that if they're authenticated or whatever, quote unquote, then in other countries they are, harsh penalties for being gay or whatever. So they'll say if they're gay, and they'll know by posting something online that they're gay, that their government will be able to track and trace them or whatever. And supposedly the workaround would be a decentralized authentication platform. However, that's also going to store your information, right? So obviously that could be compromised. And I think that's another reason. So it's not just for ad revenue. Everything's multifaceted. Another reason would be to track who are the dissidents of each country or whatever. What are they saying? They can track misinformation. They could trace it back to you. You were patient zero of this misinformation. You were you were responsible for this. And ultimately it will lead to the building of the Chinese social credit score, right? If you have too much misinformation and you're posting too much wrong think, you're going to have a score that goes down. And if other people interact with you, their score will go down. So therefore, they won't interact with you on these platforms. Excuse me. But there's all kinds of different authentication projects in the works. This one here there's body odor biometrics, different types of body odor. It says identification by analyzing the olfactory properties of the human body smell. It's a complex range of molecules, blah, blah, blah. How can it be measured? It says capturing individuals' unique smell is possible via gas sensors. Sensors could be placed against body parts like the armpit or the back of the hand in a way that is non-intrusive. So this would be the same way, like, didn't they have a way they could tell if you had COVID or something, like the COVID sniffing dogs or whatever? But this would be like a technological version of that. They could check your health for the day or whatever, or just authenticate you this way. So I don't think this is actually one of the main ones that's coming up that they're going to use. I just thought that was interesting. I've showed in the past where they have gait recognition technology. Let me pull that up real quick. And this is kind of old tech. Yeah, look at these videos that are 4 years old here. Just by the way you walk. The cameras and the AI is trained to learn that each person kind of has their own unique gait. So even if you went, this would come into application if you went to like some kind of public protest and you wore a mask and a balaclava or whatever, and you thought you were anonymous, they would still be able to know who you are, basically, by even if you didn't have your phone on you or anything like that. Yeah, this site here is called biometricupdate.com. They have a lot of crazy stuff on here if you're interested in I think this is where if you're into stocks, which I'm really not, if you could learn here, I feel like there would be a lot of money to be made here if you could kind of get ahead of the curve of where this is going. This one here was, look at verified cuties only. Tinder debuts video selfie biometrics for security. Tinder's existing selfie photo verification. So all this will be defeated by the deepfake and filters and everything like that. So this type of authentication won't be around for very long. It's going to rapidly change. And there's always been talk of going to a passwordless future. I just don't know where how will passwords of the future work? It says your phone will store a FIDO credential called a passkey, which is used to unlock your online account. The passkey makes signing in far more secure, blah, blah, blah. I just don't get how you would sign in with. It would have to be a combination, I think, of many things. It could be the combination of the body odor, the video, and all that stuff at the same time to make sure it's actually you. You will be the password, basically, is what it's saying. And that's also being programmed into you right now to accept this. with what I raged about on the backup channel the other day. If you're not subscribed, go to Get Chalked Up. That's where I do all the panels, and I had Ben on. We do the morning show now. I don't know if we do it anymore. I don't know if he spiraled out or what, but the passwords, you know, as it's gotten increasingly, you need an increasingly longer password. It's got to have an uppercase letter. It's got to have a number. It's got to have a symbol and all that. It's just more and more to frustrate you. So when they come out with this passwordless or whatever they're going to come out with in the future, you'll be glad to accept it, because now you can't remember any of your 1,000 passwords. You need a damn password to scan a picture in my damn printer I bought, my all-in-one printer. Ridiculous. Yeah, Tinsel TQ says vocal biometrics are extremely reliable, unfortunately. But they do have now the new, you know, able to just synthesize people's voices. So that'll be a thing of the past, I think, soon. Benton said he's going to take a break for a few days, EBT said. Oh, that stream was wild today. Benton was wilding out. So I don't know if the passwordless future will come, but I think you would accept it. And to me, right, it's all going to come down to what? The mark of the beast, right? There's going to be some type of thing you're going to need in order to buy groceries and stuff. You won't be able to without it. They make it just so complicated. It's getting there right now, right? Throw in a few freebies or whatever. I think most people would do it. What was the other one I was going to look up? There was one more on here that sounded so crazy to me, like a month ago when I was looking at this one. I've been meaning to do this stream for a while. Have you heard voice print biometric suits are on the rise? People are filing lawsuits. Digital wallet revolution coming. Yeah, that's going to be the whole thing. Is going to be the Elon X app, where it's going to be your digital wallet. It's going to have your QR codes for your health, for anything that you need the QR code for. And it's all going to be in there. It'll be the United States version of the WeChat. That's what when I was looking into this a lot, I went and watched a bunch of videos on what exactly that WeChat is. Because I've heard of it, but I was unfamiliar with it. But it's basically just like an all-in-one app. And then inside of the app, there's like micro apps. So you don't have to download a whole app from your phone for these different things. And there's just like in the app, it's just like a micro app. You want to shop, you click, it would be Amazon. So instead of having the whole Amazon app on your phone, it would just be like a micro app, probably everything tailored to just what you would buy. And then it's very small and loads fast, and you go on there and you can order your stuff right on there. And then I did want to play some of this excuse me. Some of this Elon Musk and Tucker, when they talked about, he was on Elon. So Elon, obviously, he's the opponent of this AI. He's the one saying, pump the brakes, this shit's going too fast, even though he's a character and everything like that. That's his role. And then meanwhile, Gates is the one out here touting it and saying, let's bring it all out. ChatGPT is in Windows 11. It's just built right into it now. You can use it just with the regular operating system. And then Samsung phones have switched to Bing now because of that. Samsung reportedly weighs replacing Google with Bing. So pre-installed on every phone is Google as the default search engine. It looks like they're going to be switching that out now for Bing because of the AI that's built into the Bing now. That's what they say. So now Google, which has been getting harder and harder to find stuff, this is tons of money Google's losing, actually, if this is real, if it happens. But where's that? Play a little bit of this Elon one.
In the long term.
And then this could actually, in the near future, could be the reason if they ever come out with a reason why Tucker was let go, it could possibly have something to do with this, actually. If they want to go forward with an AI false flag or whatever, they'll say he was too close to home when he had Elon on talking about AI.
Yes.
It's bad.
To lie.
To
That's
lie.
exactly right. And to
Yes.
withhold information.
To lie and yes.
So they're talking about AI is trained to lie. What they mean is like it's programmed with the bias. So if you ask it for the raw data on who commits, 50% of the crime, it's not going to tell you that answer. It's not going to say the 13, right? It's gonna massage the numbers or talk around it.
Yeah, exactly. To either comment on some things, not comment on other things, but not to say what the data actually demands that it say.
Exactly.
Speed them up.
How did it get this way? I thought you funded it at the beginning. What happened?
Yeah, well, that'll be ironic. But the most ironic outcome is the most likely, it seems.
I'm stealing that. That's good.
That's actually from a friend of mine, Jonah, who came up with that one. I actually have a slight variant on that, which is the most entertaining outcome is the most likely. But that's entertaining as viewed from a third-party viewer. Like, so if we're like an alien
From
TV
on
show.
high, yes.
Yeah. Like you could go see a movie about World War I, they're being blown to bits and gassed and everything in the trenches, and it's like you're eating popcorn and having a soda, it's fine. Not so great for the people in the movie.
True.
This is Occam's razor, the simplest explanation is most likely. Jonah's variant, which is irony, and then my variant, which is the most entertaining as seen by a third-party audience, which seems to be mostly true.
But it seems true in this case. So you gave them, did you give them a lot?
I came up with the name and the concept and pushed, it had a number of vendors around the Bay Area with some of the people, the leading figures in AI. And I helped recruit the initial team. In fact, the Elias Siskaya, who was really quite fundamental to the success of OpenAI, I put a tremendous amount of effort into recruiting Ilya, and he changed his mind a few times and ultimately decided to go with OpenAI. But if he had not gone with OpenAI, OpenAI would not have succeeded. I really put a lot of effort into creating this organization to serve as a counterweight to Google. And then I kind of took my eye off the ball, I guess, and they are now closed source. And
so he's for open source AI, and then he's saying that the bad companies, they got the closed source. Luke says, I can't watch these actors. Unfortunately, you got to watch them because you're in a... perception is reality. So all the people watch these, and this is what they believe. So then, ultimately, it really is your reality, whether it's an actor or not, because every single person outside of you is reacting, moving their body, and talking based on this being real.
They are obviously for profit, and they're closely allied with Microsoft. In effect, Microsoft has a very strong say, if not directly controls OpenAI at this point. So you really have an OpenAI Microsoft situation, and then a Google DeepMind are the two sort of heavyweights in this arena.
So it seems like the world needs a third option.
Yes. So I think I will create a third option, although it's starting very late in the game, of course.
Can it be done?
I don't know. I think we'll see. It's definitely starting late, but I will.
So makes electric cars. He's sending rockets to the moon. Started PayPal. He's gonna start the Everything app, and now he's gonna create the third option AI. This guy just does everything. It's amazing.
I'll try to create a third option, and that third option hopefully does more good than harm. Like the intention with OpenAI was obviously to do good, but it's not clear whether it's actually doing good or whether it's. I can't tell at this point, except that I'm worried about the fact that it's being trained to be politically correct, which is simply another way of being saying untruthful things.
Yes.
So that's a bad sign. There's certainly a path to AI dystopia is to train AI to be deceptive. So yeah, I'm going to start something which you call Truth GPT or a maximum truth-seeking AI.
Enslaved by Truth GPT, right? Chat EBT. That's what he's going to create right here. But Trump also had the Truth Social, right? So this is how big in mainstream I think the quote-unquote truther stuff is that it's the two most mainstream guys. This is what they talk about. Truth GPT and Truth Social Network. Tom McDonald approved.
That tries to understand the nature of the universe. And I think this might be the best path to safety in the sense that an AI that cares about understanding the universe is unlikely to annihilate humans because we are an interesting part of the universe. Hopefully, they would think that. I think, because, yeah, like humanity could decide to hunt down all the chimpanzees and kill them, but we don't, because we're actually glad that they exist.
Yes.
And we aspire to protect their habitats.
But we feel that way.
he's still presenting it as the idea that AI and the computer is superior to the human being and the evolution of the human being. So he said the humans don't hunt down monkeys, so I don't think the AI will hunt us all down. That's about what I wanted to do tonight. Was about an hour I was hoping to do. And I did a lot of it was playing this video. I'm going to put it in the chat. Do you guys want me to pop over to the backup channel and do some calls on this topic? Because if there's enough interest in it, I will. Or are you guys all paneled out at this point? I feel like now the panels aren't bad, but they're getting bad because it's all the same people in the panels. You have, in theory, it would be good if it was always new and different people coming in all the time. But you get the same like 10 people or whatever. I think it's different on my channel here because the people that come on with me are the people I've been riding with a long time. EBT, Toilet Bowler, those kind of people. Bong Ripper and stuff. So it's different people that you don't really see on all these other panels or whatever. But that link's in the chat if you guys want to watch that AI dilemma video. And yeah, I don't have my outro song done yet for the... I have the song created by Toilet Bowl Earth, but I haven't remade the video yet because it was too spicy. YouTube shot it down. I need to recut it. So why don't I meet you guys on the backup channel and we can take calls about AI. So the backup channel is Get Chalked Up. Make sure you go there. We'll call in and we'll talk about AI.
Hey Andrew, what's up, robot? I love you. I know you do. Hey Andrew, what is it, robot? I love you. I know you do. Hey Andrew, what's up, robot? I love you. I know you do. Hey Andrew, what's up, robot? I'm going to kill you. Oh my God. Never trust robots. Never trust robots. You might think that they're your friend. They'll only kill you in the end. Never trust robots. Never trust robots. Don't leave them with your kids. Don't invite them to play bridge. If you're a human being, we're in business. If you're not a machine, we're in business. If you're not me, we're in business. We're in business. Never trust robots. Never trust robots. Don't take them along for trips. They might poison your bag of chips. Never trust robots. Never trust robots. Don't take them with you to work. They just might go berserk. If you're a human being, we're in business. If you're not a machine, we're in business. If you're not me, we're in business. We're in business. Hey Andrew, what's up, robot? I love you. I know you do. Hey Andrew, what is it, robot? I love you. I know you do. Hey Andrew, what's up, robot?